Hello, I'm Peter Towers. Welcome to the ESS BIZTOOLS webinar today, Advisory on Demand, the Advanced Package Advantage. We are live streaming this webinar to social media, so if you're watching on the various social media channels, welcome. I hope you enjoy this experience. If you have any questions, unfortunately, you just cannot log on. So can you send me an email, please, and I will get back to you, peter@essbiztools.com.au. If you're watching this webinar at a time more convenient to you and you have a question, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. If you're watching the webinar live and you have questions on any of the issues that we've discussed, please write your question into chat and I will answer the question during the webinar. The myth that is holding accountants back from advisory services. What is it? And is it a myth? It's too difficult for accountants to break into advisory services, I hear now and again. I'm told that the market's already saturated by firms acting as key strategic partners. But let's test that statement. The reality, most SMEs aren't receiving true advisory support. According to the Intuit QuickBooks SMB Navigator Report 2025, 500 SME operators were surveyed on how they viewed their accountants' relationship. The results were surprising. The SMEs were asked to identify which relationship best described their relationship with their accountant. Now, the first category was key strategic partner. They are a key partner in our business, the SMEs were indicating, our go-to professional for advice, and they are extremely valuable to our business growth and success. 15% of the SMEs nominated this category. Only 15%. 75 businesses out of 500 gave the rating that I think every accountancy and bookkeeping business in Australia should be aspiring to. And 500 is a big sample. Only 75 businesses agreed that the relationship was a key strategic partner. The next opportunity for them to exercise their vote was the valued relationship. We have a good relationship with them, our accountants or bookkeepers, and they help achieve our financial or commercial commitments. But they aren't necessarily our go-to advisor. I'll repeat those words. But they aren't necessarily our go-to advisor. Now, 51% of the SMEs that were nominated indicated that this was the category that best described their relationship with their accountant or bookkeeper. Let's come back to that final comment. But they aren't necessarily our go-to advisor. Well, who is their advisor? Who are they going to? Have they found someone else? Or is it their mate at the pub or their golfing partner at worked in a government department all his life or her life? 51%, 255 of the businesses endorse this concept. I think that's a shocking result for Australian accountants. And then we have the last opportunity that Intuit QuickBooks gave these 500 businesses. And this was for transactional relationships. We have a limited relationship with them, and they are a service provider who provides a straightforward service and not much further. 34% recorded that vote, which was 170 businesses. They provide a straightforward service and not much further. I wouldn't like that comment being made to me for any firm that I was involved in. The fact that only 15% viewed their accountants as key strategic partners highlights opportunities for firms to improve their image with Australian businesses, was the comment made by Intuit QuickBooks in the presentation of the SMB Navigator Report 2025. Highlights opportunities for firms to improve their image with Australian businesses. I hope every accounting firm in Australia, except those who satisfied 75 of their customers, they're doing a great job and we salute them. And if you're one of them, congratulations. But I think this is highlighting a tremendous problem for Australian accountants, which we're going to be continuing to talk about in various presentations over the next few weeks. The sample of 500 SMEs indicates that 85% of those people are not receiving the depth of financial and commercial advice that they want and need, and they do need it. We're going to refer to some of the Ombudsman's observations shortly, but SMEs need support. This leaves a wide open opportunity for accountants and bookkeepers who are prepared to supply genuine financial, commercial, management accounting advisory services to assist SME clients to, first of all, survive, of course, but to thrive should be the least target that we've got for our clients, to thrive in their businesses. The myth's incorrect. The market is wide open for you to supply these services. Because unfortunately, some firms providing the services are not meeting the expectation that's been set by their clients, who, after all, are paying the fees. SMEs are calling out for practical guidance, insight that helps them survive, grow, and scale up if they wish. And we really need more businesses to be planning to scale up in Australia. There's been a lot of comments in the last couple of weeks about the dire straits of the manufacturing industry. We really need more action from accountants, from the government, from other service providers, lawyers, engineering consultants, to try to get industry moving. We've got a lot of retail operations in Australia, got a lot of farming operations, very good ones. We need to resurrect the manufacturing industry and be smart, manufacture items that Australia can benefit from. Maybe not all mass-produced, very price-critical things using the intellectual property that's been developed. So the key should be for you and your colleagues in your firm to aspire to be a key strategic partner for your clients. Trust is built when accountants and bookkeepers deliver real, practical value across all stages of business development. All stages. It starts with interpreting the founder's vision and turning it into a strategic roadmap. What's the founder want to do? And these discussions should take place before they start their business or buy a business. Now, I know that's not always practical, and I know some of you are going to be trying to convince existing clients that you can help them on developing new strategies. It's a slightly different approach, but I think you can still sit down with them and discuss what their vision is. And within ESS BIZTOOLS, we got the SME needs analysis, which gives you a series of questions that or comments that you can make, which you can bring into the conversation. If you're a bit tongue-tied, that you can be raising issues with your clients, which will get them talking about their vision. What are they wanting to achieve? And then you can be subtly suggesting how you can help improve their business. And I think one of the big things we need our clients to do, both the people considering a business or starting a business, or those, as I've just referred to, are already operating. Let's take them back and say, well, a step got missed when you started your business. You needed to go through the dreaming room stage, which is advocated by Michael Gerber, the author of the E-Myth series, a great writer. He wrote a lot of this material 40, 50 years ago. I saw him on a video interview recently, and at 88, he's still performing very well. But he really stressed the importance of the dreaming room. And he took it all back to the McDonald's story. And he relayed the message of Ray Kroc, who was the 52-year-old machinery salesman, component salesman, who was selling milkshake making equipment, as far as I can work out, to the McDonald brothers. He traveled across America because he was curious, because they were continually ordering new equipment. Never made a complaint that the equipment had broken down, just needed new parts all the time, new equipment. So he drove across America to see what they were doing. And he was fascinated by this great business they'd built. So he sat down and talked to them. They said to him, the two brothers, well, we've already tried a franchise and it didn't work. And he said, I'd like to work with you and put an idea together. And they said, oh, okay. So he went and obtained a lease of a separate business premises. And that's where he conducted his first dreaming room with the two brothers. And they went through and tried to envisage what they were going to build. I don't even know if Ray Kroc would have factored in that he'd end up with 40,000 franchise businesses around the world. But that's where it started from. And he and Gerber were very strong supporters of the concept that business operators and potential operators need to lock themselves away in some quality time to dream about their vision. What do they want to achieve? Now, you can help them. Within ESS BizTools, we've got a range of questions that you can be supplying to your clients to think about it. These are their issues. These are the matters you've got to consider before you start a business. Small business is hard, and we need to be honest with clients, especially those who have never run a small business, so that we help them survive. Assisting the client and members of the leadership team in the development of the business plan. I think this is one of the big problems. Far too many clients are starting off without a business plan, or if they've got a business plan, someone else has written it for them completely, whether it's been written by accountants or others. Unfortunately, some of the government programs 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, virtually supported that concept that the writer, the consultant, the accountant would just go off and write one. I don't agree with that concept at all. I like having the leadership team sitting around the table. Within ESS BizTools, we've got questionnaires you can hand to them. There will probably take at least 3 team meetings of the leadership team to develop a business plan. Why? Because you need them to have ownership of the business plan, because they are the people who have to implement it. Now, if you're offering an ongoing service, of course, you're going to be part of that, but you need to have the manufacturing guy, the purchasing guy, the sales guy, the quality control people, all involved in the process, in the development of a business plan, because then there's a chance it will get implemented. And another suggestion I heard someone talk about some years ago, which I implement, is I get the leadership team to sign off on the final document, because they're pledging to the directors or to the owners or even to themselves that they are going to implement that plan. So the business plan is critical. And then once the business plan's prepared, we can then develop the predictive accounting reports, the budgets, the cash flow forecasts, the key drivers. Now, the key drivers are very important. They're looking at the sub-accounts, the inventory of raw materials, the inventory of completed stock, the wages forecast costs, the debtors, creditors, capital expenditure, research and development. A lot of these items just get hidden in cash flow forecasts and budgets. They just line items somewhere. I like the idea that they're shown as separate sub-accounts so you can really analyze them. And if your budgets have been prepared on the basis that the inventory is going to be a certain figure, maybe $200,000, and you look on the actual accounts and it's up around over 320,000, you should be saying, wow, what caused that? Because it's going to affect the cash flow, isn't it? You're the accountant. You've got to be looking at what all these things, how they react. It's very difficult in business to have something that's just done in isolation. It's going to have an effect. Some would say a ripple effect. What I just said could be a major effect on a small business, an extra $120,000 tied up in stock. And we need to establish a rhythm of meetings. We need to do that in our own firms. And I know it's not easy, especially these days when a lot of your team are working remote. How do you have a rhythm of meetings? Well, I think you set the time and saying we all tune in through Zoom or whatever means of communication you're using at that time, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Now, it doesn't matter if that weekly meeting only lasts 5-10 minutes. You're trying to find if any problems occurred yesterday. And then, as the leader, you need to make sure someone's looking at that problem, someone's aware of it and fixing it. Now, the rhythm of meetings would be daily, weekly, monthly. And what should be happening is the leadership team is reviewing progress and identifying problems and fixing the problems straight away, not in a year's time. It may be far too late in a year's time to fix the problem. And this is one of the contributing factors, I believe, to the high failure rate we've got currently in Australian small business. So an analysis of financial accounts is built around weekly formats. The system we're advocating is that for every business operation your client's got, there should be a weekly performance report, which is the key performance indicators, business metrics, and a financial report. Big companies do this all the time and analyze the results. And what they're looking for is, was there an expectation of a gross profit of, say, 38% and we only got 23%? They immediately investigate it, find what caused the problem and fix it so it doesn't reoccur for the rest of the year, which it can if it's not fixed. Implementing continual cash flow analysis and monitoring. And it's not just looking at the next month's cash flow, 12 months out. Sitting down with the leadership team, making sure they understand what a blowout in debtors means in their cash flow, what a blowout in the capital expenditure program, or even research and development, which is very worthy, but everything needs to be kept within the budget confines. Or if it's going to go over, where's the money coming from? It has to be answered. And it needs to be faced up and answered. And with the problems that are going on around the world at present with wars, a lot of the shipping schedules are changing. It's taking longer to get raw materials and completed products if your client's importing those things from overseas into Australia. Now, the supplier of those products always want to get paid, probably as soon as those products are put on board a ship. So your client is caught with an increasing investment in inventory, which must affect their cash flow. So what does all this tell you when you're looking at it? Does it mean your client might have to raise more capital? Where are they going to get that from? They're going to borrow the money. They got assets to offer as security. And I know in some loans these days you don't have to put up the security, but for larger sums you still do. Or is it possible to start thinking about raising capital from the public? Pardon me, crowdsourced funding, equity raising has been running now for 8 years. About $400 million has been raised. I think a lot more can get raised, but we'll talk more about that in another webinar in a couple of weeks' time. But there's opportunities. And if your client's a small young company, not young directors, but a young company under 3 years of age normally, up in some cases up to 6 years of age, the early stage innovation company capital raising can be a great way. And the real benefit there is the investor in that stage, for the company to be deemed to be an early stage innovation company, the investor can obtain a taxation benefit. As far as I know, this is the only time it happens in Australia. So investors, if they're sophisticated investors, they can obtain a tax credit of up to $200,000. Now that's calculated at 20% of their investment, obviously up to $1 million. And if they're a retail investor, they can obtain a tax credit of up to $10,000 based on their investment. And the big thing is, though, if they hold those shares that were allocated as part of this process for more than 12 months and less than 10 years, there's no capital gains tax on those shares when they sell them. Think about it. The key performance indicators and business metrics need to be analysed. I read a lot of articles written by accountants around Australia. I rarely see key performance indicators and business metrics mentioned, but they're vital. They tell a lot of information, especially any type of company that's processing anything. Now, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a pharmacy, a manufacturing business, a professional accounting firm, retail store. They all need their key performance indicators and metrics, and they need someone to be monitoring them and saying, why has this variance occurred? Because that can also be an indicator that something went wrong. We need monthly financial reports and insights into the cash flow projections to the leadership team. So there needs to be a flow of information to help your clients survive, because unfortunately, a lot of them are really not surviving, and we'll talk about some of the Ombudsman's reports shortly. These services establish advisory services. Your contribution is similar to what the business would expect from a full-time accountant who's involved in every growth stage of a business. I performed that role as a chief financial officer and company secretary of a listed public company. And I know the number of times I got buzzed by the CEO. What about this, Pete? Can we do this? Can we change it to such and such? Can you give me a report in 10 minutes? I'm ringing America. I want to be able to tell them what we're going to do. We're a major meat exporter and retail shop operator in Australia. Every one of them was being subjected to this weekly reporting. And by doing that, I'm sure I became a source of information for the CEO. That's what the role I think accountants need to be performing with your SME clients. Not as intensive, you're not going to be there for 50 hours a week, but you need to have that involvement so the client can confidently contact you and knows that you understand a lot more about their business than what you might have done when you were mainly involved in the preparation of an annual set of accounts and a tax returns, because you probably didn't buy in to things like key performance indicators and business metrics and their 12 months out cash flow forecasts. But this is what your clients need. The tax return, as nice as it looks, or the annual set of accounts, does not help any business in Australia run a better business, because it's all too late. It's like writing a history novel. What your clients are looking for is, if we make this decision, what's it going to do to us as we go forward for the next 3, 6, 12 months or 3 years? What's the effect going to be then? Now, it's a different ballgame in lots of ways, but it's very important because it helps them make decisions where they're going. Now, how can ESS BIZTOOLS assist you to do all this? I'm going to tell you. Well, let's get started. And that's the first thing I think you have to make up your mind on. Let's get started and start offering some clients. You don't have to go out and take on 20 clients straight away to issue these services. But I'd like you to have at least 1 or 2 clients that are going through the process. So in a month's time, you put another 1 or 2 clients in a month, and you start evolving. You start offering the services to help your clients. Don't try to do your whole firm in one go. So ESS, first of all, supplies you a comprehensive training resource to help upskill your team, because they need to start thinking about some different issues to what they have been concentrating on at this stage, which is basically taxation issues. And that's great. That's what you're doing for your client. But we're looking now at how you can expand your services, how you can use the technology, use the communications, and meet a market requirement in the financial, commercial analysis of business performance, these whole management accounting issues that are so important. And we all know about them. We all learnt them in our studies and studied them. It's the implementation. Now, it was difficult to implement a lot of these things 20, 25 years ago, although some firms did it. It's where we started the work on ESS BIZTOOLS based on the original work done by the Financial Management Research Centre, which was established at the University of New England, FMRC. If you read any of our material, you'll see regular references to FMRC. I think they did a fantastic job of creating an awareness to all these issues. Unfortunately, it hasn't gone far enough. We develop a monthly client newsletter, Business Plus, which is normally uploaded to our website on the second Friday of a month. It's ready for you to brand and send to your clients, and it includes 4 to 6 articles in each edition that are written at a small business audience. They're not written for accountants. They're written for you to badge and send to your clients. And what I suggest is you read the articles. It's only 4 A4 pages. Read it before it goes out and note down which article might suit a client. Now, we try to write articles for people thinking about buying businesses, people who've just started a business, people who have been running a business for 12 months, others that might be now starting to look at succession issues or selling the business or buying another business. All these different stories make up the small business community. And we're trying to write articles, and over a year, I try to balance it out so that we write between 70 and 90 articles in that Business Plus over the year, which is trying to get a message through. But the key action then is yours. You write down who might be interested, and then you pick up the phone and talk to them 3 or 4 days after you've sent the email to them. Hi, Jim, did you read the article I sent you about crowdsource funding equity raising? You mentioned to me a couple of weeks ago that you thought you needed to raise some money. You want to build a new factory and expand, and you're asking, could you raise some capital? Well, you can. You can raise up to $5 million. You meet the requirements because your turnover's less than $25 million per annum. And you could go ahead and do it, but there's a process we've got to go through. Do you want me to come and talk to you? This is the way to market services. So we see Business Plus has been an important component in you then being able to market your services to your clients. We have 10 group training sessions per annum for each of our 3 major product packages. And you can go to the 30 training sessions if you like over the year. There's no extra charge, because I think it's all about informing a whole range of accountants about the opportunities that are available to offer real accounting services to SMEs. So then we got the packages that are in the system. to help you. Business planning, I've talked about that today. Budgets and cash flow forecasts. The 52-week of the year in business enhancement system. That's the weekly report on performance, the monthly accounts. Business health checks, that's the analysing of the key performance indicators and business metrics. If a yield was meant to be around 8%, I'll just pick a figure now, and it's going on 8.1, 8.2, 7.9, 7.8, and suddenly there's a 5 on the report sheet, you'd expect people to react, wouldn't you? And that's what the business health checks are all about. Cash flow management, I've talked about that. The Chief Financial Officer services, which is really all of this put together under one overall umbrella. Crowdsource funding, equity raising, I've talked about that. The research and development, a fantastic system. Do you know that 6,000 to 7,000 Australian companies participated in the research and development tax rebate scheme in 2022-23? We haven't got the 23-24 results yet from the tax office. That's fantastic. Unfortunately, I find many accounting firms say, oh, we don't want to handle research and development because you have to be a scientist or an engineer to help them. And I said, who told you that? Your role's not to undertake the experiments or do any of that work. I think if you want to look at what you could line your role up against, it's more the internal auditor, is to make sure the forms are completed. And we have checklists. We have all the forms that we've determined from reading the legislation. These are the forms you might need. There's 48 of them. You won't need 48 for one client. But over a year, if you had 10 to 15 clients, companies going through research and development, you might need all those forms. The early stage innovation company I've mentioned. The export market development grant is available for companies with turnovers up to $20 million. The debtors management system. Debtors management's a very important issue. MYOB published a report about 18 months ago of a survey that they'd undertaken on people who had gone into business in the previous 12 months. And they identified that there was a lot of misunderstandings on debtors. A lot of their new members had assumed that anyone that asked for credit, they were obligated by law to sell to them on credit. I hope they never got that advice from an accountant. And then we had another side of that on debtors where the assumption had been made that everyone would pay them strictly on a 30 days basis. I wish they were right, but they weren't. Australia's got a dubious international title that we got the longest debtors days outstanding in the world. So we need to communicate this to clients and make sure they understand the need for a debtors management system, which we've got in ESS BIZTOOLS. That new people applying to have a credit account have completed the debtors application form. And someone in the client's firm has followed that up, made a contact with the people that have been suggested, the referees, and make contact to make sure your client's not getting someone else's problem. They've been paying it over 90 days to someone else and they've told them they've got to bring it back to at least 40 days and they can't do it, so they're off now looking for someone else. Your client's not a bank. They want to borrow money from a bank, go and negotiate with the bank. We've got fee setting for professional firms, which obviously includes accountants. A great process to how to calculate it accurately to try to achieve the targeted profit. Might be your targeted profit. And then we've got the tradies charge out rate calculator, which will help tradie clients. And you've probably got 5, 10, 20 or 100 of those. We got one of our subscribers now got 120 tradie clients. When he started off without our product, he had about 10. He just grown because people know that he's got the charge out rate calculator, which gives tradies some confidence that their figures are right and they're monitored each month. So that service, that firm is supplying total package to tradies is now worth about $10,000 to $12,000 per client, what costs the client. The client's got that investment and he's got 120 of them. So you do the sums. It's a great way to offer services to help the tradie clients. The retail wholesalers, price setting there is a very complicated process. If you ever sat down with a client that's trying to work out what's going on in their store, I'm amazed at the number of people who cannot tell you what their star products are, or what their cash cows are, or what their problem stocks are, or what their absolute disasters are. They're the ones that no one owns up to purchasing them. Just be aware that automatic reorder computer programs can cause a lot of problems in stock control systems, I've noticed, because it gets down to a certain level and it automatically reorders. And someone in your client's team might have been trying to clear that particular stock line for 3 years, and then suddenly a whole bunch of new product turns up. So you need to make sure that's being monitored. Succession planning. Succession is not just for the owners or the CEO, in my opinion. It's every position in an organisation. It gets back to training and understanding of how the business operates. But it's very important for the person at the top, of course. We've got full packages on succession planning, as we have on all these items that I'm going through talking about. And the personal property securities register. You don't hear as much about it now because a lot of the problems from the original legislation have been fixed. There were 380 odd problems in that legislation, according to a judge who prepared a report for the federal government. It was a disaster, and it caught out a lot of businesses. But it can still catch SMEs out if they haven't got an awareness or they ignore it. And I think as their key advisor, you need to be telling them this and advising them. These systems will contribute to the identification as your firm as a key strategic partner. I really believe that, because this is the services that SMEs tell me, and they're obviously telling Intuit, QuickBooks in their survey that they're not happy with the services they're currently getting, which are built around the emphasis on a tax return. I'll repeat, the tax return does not help your clients run their businesses. So helping your clients deliver continuous value, position your firm as a proactive, forward-thinking, key strategic partner will build deeper engagement and stronger client loyalty. Now is the time to act, because SMEs need help now. Now, so that you can have your systems being implemented in 2026. So let's look at what the Ombudsman's had to say, because I've referred to him a couple of times. 43% of small business owners make no profit. That's not very good for them or for the country. 75% earn less than the average wage. 30% of agribusinesses lose money each year. And small business operators are working harder yet falling further behind. Who can help them? I've sat down on a number of occasions and had a few nice glasses of red with a few people over the years and discussed this whole thing. Who can help SMEs? And I think back to my career in a public company with a lot of business operations over 3 states. The key people are the managers, the operators, the owners, of course, but they're looking for input from key advisors. And I honestly believe that our profession is the key advisor. Sure, business people need input from sales people, from manufacturing people, from marketing, from web design. They need all that as well, but only for a lot smaller amount of time normally than what I perceive they need from accounting. So please think about it. Think about what role you can make to help your clients. And that's what I'm getting at there. I think we're uniquely placed to help change this. These businesses urgently need structured advisory reports throughout the year, not an annual set of accounts and a tax return. Just think about it. At the very least, the first week is now a year ago when that report's finished. And when are the reports finished? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months after the end of that financial year. So here we are in 8 months. It's now 20 months since the first week of the financial year. And if something went wrong back there, and because there was no emphasis on the analysis of weekly performance, key performance indicators, benchmarks, etc., that problem could have existed for a full 20 weeks. That's lost money, it's lost opportunity. It's disastrous. And is this type of activity contributing to those very poor performance figures that the Ombudsman's identified? The scorecard showing 15% support from the customers of accountancy and bookkeeping firms is a disastrous result. I think you need to make sure that your firm achieves the title of key strategic partner. And we need to face reality. You probably won't get that from all your clients straight away. With our subscribers, I'm going to suggest that in January, February, they actually survey their clients and give them the 3 suggestions or alternatives that Intuit QuickBooks gave to the 500 businesses to see what your clients think of your services. And I'm going to be promoting some feedback in March next year to see what you think, and if you're prepared to discuss the figures in a podcast or confidentially, I'd like to hear from you, because I think this is very important, that we need to face up to it and then say collectively as a profession, what can we do about it? Unfortunately, the professional bodies don't seem to get involved in any of this. I think they should, because these reports produced by a very reputable company in Intuit, QuickBooks, need people to sit back and take notice and say, what can we do about this? ESS BIZTOOLS has decided to take a financial risk and make it out of your decision. Take the risk out of your decision. And I think some of my team think I've gone a bit bonkers, but anyhow, I've decided we're offering a 75% discount on our packages until the 5th of December to try to give you the resources, to try to start working with a lot more accounting firms, because I was very upset when I read that report from QuickBooks. So 12 months upfront subscription. So our advanced package, which is what is the basis of what we're talking about in this webinar, is only going to cost $798.50, including GST, for 12 months access. And hopefully you'll renew your subscription at the end of that period. The financial forecasting package, which is our overall comprehensive package, has got some fantastic chief financial officer type service material. Only $1,050 for 12 months access. If you can't get a return on investment on these figures, I don't think you're undertaking advisory services. And the starter package, ideal for a small accounting firm that hasn't really done advisory services in the past, or for bookkeeping firms that are looking to grow up and who are very much aware of what the former taxation commissioner was warning was going to happen at the lower end of the market and probably some other levels of the market. And that warning is now really in its operational stage. He said in 5 years' time, well, 3.5 years is now up on that. So the starter package for only $327.25. We got very accurate here because that's the 75% calculation, which is how our web team work, because we've just gone in. We will give you a code, and in fact, the code is shown on the front of our website. So you just go there, there's the code, put it in, and so you can see what the original prices were. Here's the 75% discount. That's what it is. Process your application and you're away. You've got the training package for your team. You've got a video with us. We'll be telling you when our team training is on. If you want one-on-one training, we can organize that. That will be a separate cost. Your ROI should be very attractive on these prices. I really hope that accountancy firms all over Australia are going to take us up on this invitation. It's an invitation for you to really get serious, to gear up, and let's make 2026 a great year. Because I can't see the government helping small businesses. In fact, I think a lot of their decisions are anti-small business. But our profession really relies on thousands of small business operators. We need to be helping them to improve their business performance. And there's another benefit in all this, because every time I talk to accountants, I hear about the problem of attracting talent and retaining talent. Well, this work is interesting. It's challenging. It will really make your younger graduates think about what they're doing. Now, I know tax does that as well, but they get a bit bored with tax returns. And these problems are obvious. The amount of work that's now being outsourced out of Australia because of the difficulty of hiring accountants, there has to be reasons for that. I don't know where all those people are gone that graduated, but that's another story. So I think this will help you in talent attraction and retention. So please visit www.essbiztools.com.au, click on packages and pricing, and then click on the product package you would like to take a look at in detail. So you've got the three main product packages. You just click on them. And there's also the availability of 20 separate standalone products, which have also been reduced by 75% to give you the best opportunity of being able to introduce these services. So you can subscribe straight away if you wish, and you'll be able to start team briefings on the delivery of financial, commercial, management, accounting, advisory services the next day to get the team going, to get them thinking before Christmas so that they come back in January with some fire in the belly. They're ready to go to help your clients. If you've got any questions we've not answered in this webinar, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. I look forward to hearing from you. Stay safe. Have a great day. Goodbye. And I hope to have the opportunity of talking to a lot of new people over the next few weeks. Remember, this special offer is available from today until Friday, the 5th of December. Close of business, wherever that is. So it's really the Saturday morning, I suppose, the 6th. And we look forward to working with you. Have a great day. Goodbye.